Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, Director of Sales for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson from the Bona Training.
All right, Rob, we're going to talk about a new product today.
Oh, what a guest we have today. Huh?
Yes, we do. We have Zack Clavin. I don't care what he says his name is. We have Zack Clavin on the show today. And Zack, I'll have you introduce yourself. You've been with Bona quite some time now, and you were in, I believe you were in tech and training. I know you used to do classes. I actually attended one of your classes years and years ago, 10 years ago. So introduce yourself and kind of what you do for Bona.
And Wayne, thank you for that introduction. I just wanted to point out, this is our Vegas school that we were in. You see that young Wayne right there to the bottom?
Oh, be darned.
Oh, man.
Look
Memories.
at this. Look at
Memories.
I haven't aged a bit.
I just stumbled upon it today, so
Pretty funny.
Make sure that Wayne signs that for you.
I will.
Sure.
I will. But
Yeah.
thank you guys. Mr. Clavin to you, Wayne. But my name is Zack Clavin, with the product management team, professional side of the business. And as Wayne mentioned, I mean, this will be year number 20 with Bona. And over those years, I mean, I think a big chunk of it was with the training team for years. And then before that was a little bit of QC with the lab and working in production and warehouse and a little bit of everything. So, but I've been with the product management team for probably the last 7 or 8 years, which has really been fun to be able to work with products, especially after all the training years and working closely with contractors like you guys, both internally at Bona and our customer base, and being able to see the passion out there for wood floors and stuff, and being able to take a part and bring in new products to market to help innovate the industry a little bit.
It's not possible that you've been with Bona 20 years. Is that right?
It's not possible.
I mean, I can't even hardly believe that.
2004, man.
Really?
Wow.
You know, it's.
Would you start when you were 10?
How old are you? I guess, I mean, what do you?
Could you make 40 under 40?
I did. You want me to pull up those clippings too?
Hey, listen, we don't like to shelf. We don't like
Nice.
the.
When did you make 40 under 40?
4 or 5 years ago when I was
I nominated him.
30. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
You didn't nominate anybody. You just picked up a phone. You
Please.
just picked up the phone and pointed your magic finger. This is
This
him.
is the guy. That's him.
Yeah, that's him.
I tell you what. First of all, Zack is a good-looking dude. I mean, let's be honest. He's a good-looking dude, Rob. Right? And you don't look like you've aged. You look like you're like 20 years old. I can't believe you've been at Bona 20 years. And I would love to have a deep voice like you got, man. I got a voice. I got a horrible voice. Let's just be honest about it. I got a horrible voice, but you got a good voice, man.
Good podcast voice.
Yeah, really good, man.
It's coming. This nice mic I got here.
Really, maybe that's what it is.
Is this part of the replacement thing that you've been doing?
That's what was going through my mind.
Yeah,
You
that's
got an
what I
hour.
thought.
You got an hour a
Yeah.
week that you can spare.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're a natural.
Yeah, let's take this up a notch, man. Go
All
real
right.
Hollywood.
All
And
right.
I'm lying. It's not 20 years until November, so we got some time.
Oh,
I'll
gosh.
send you my bell.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
If you could turn your bell in, Rob.
Send me
Retire it.
your bell.
Hand it down. Next generation.
There you go.
Okay. What do you want to talk about, Rob?
Valentine's Day.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you guys. What'd you do?
I killed it. I killed it this year.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm on a freaking roll. Okay? I'm on a roll with her. Christmas, killed it. She almost had tears in her eyes when she opened up her Christmas gift.
Okay.
Gold necklace with a gold heart with 2 birthstones in there. One was hers and one was mine. I had it special made. Oh yeah. Killed it. Big
Okay.
time.
Can I?
Now, well, I'm not done.
Okay.
Valentine's Day. She had her favorite plate broken years and years ago. It's an antique milk glass, whatever. I found one, gave it to her, Valentine's Day, and candlelit dinner. I made her favorite meal, short ribs.
Okay.
I killed
gotcha.
it, man.
Keep going,
yeah,
bud.
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
what I did.
Can
Right.
you keep that up? Is that sustainable? Can you?
Absolutely.
All right.
What are you talking about, Brett or Zach?
Zet.
I'm just saying he's
whatever.
on a roll. I mean, we're only talking a difference of like 2 or 3 months. So
I got Mother's Day coming up, and I'm
Yeah.
going to kill it again. Yeah, I can't miss now.
Okay, can I
can't
be
miss.
can I that's very sweet. You sound like a really sweet guy.
The
Would you be
sweetest, baby. Yeah, I don't know anybody sweeter than me.
Would you be the same guy that yelled at her for buying a generator? That it was a stupid purchase, that she shouldn't have done it, and made her belittle her for buying it? Would you be the same guy that when the grandkid was making a little bit of noise, you screamed, "Hey, get her out of here! I'm on a podcast." Would you be that same guy?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
checking.
Look, I never said I was perfect.
Okay.
I never said I was perfect.
Listen,
I'm on a roll.
Listen, my wife.
okay?
If my wife listens to this
I'm on a roll.
podcast, and she didn't get those nice Valentine's Day gifts, I go, look. See how, on the other hand, yelled at her about the generator. I would never do that to you, honey. And let's promise each other right now that we'll never be like that.
Well, listen.
Well, who bought the generator?
Wait. I didn't
His wife did.
yell at her. Okay, I didn't yell at her.
Oh, so
I spoke aggravated, but I'm not going to yell at her. That's being a bully.
Dude,
Can you hear her screaming in the back?
Oh, I think we all can hear her screaming in the back.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Hey! Are you kidding?
This is,
Give her some candy or something.
are you at daycare?
Wayne is pissed. No, that's just one kid.
Wow, it's amazing.
She gets crazy sometimes.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I yelled at her. I didn't yell. I was
Wow.
speaking in an aggravated tone.
Listen, you don't have to apologize. I'm not the one you need to apologize to.
And the reason I yelled at her when we were doing the podcast was so she could hear me.
Oh, I know.
Because the kid
I
was
know.
screaming so loud, I had to
Yeah,
yell.
totally understand.
I get it.
Yeah. So I was Valentine's Day, Zach, since you asked. Valentine's Day, I went into a restaurant. I was going to meet my wife there. Believe me, it was no big deal because I was coming back from a trip and there was no place you'd really take your wife for Valentine's Day. But I got there and I was about 15 minutes before my wife did, and the waitress came in. She's a young kid, and she goes, I'm sitting there, and I sat down, and I kind of felt self-conscious because the place was packed, and they were probably there for Valentine's Day. And I sat by myself, and she sat me down, and she goes, "So how's your Valentine's Day going?" I go, "You asked me that because I'm sitting here by myself?" She goes, "Oh."
Poor kid. Oh man.
But then I said to the bartender, I said, "Listen, I first of all, I got no sense of direction. Everybody knows me, knows that about me. I have no sense of direction. I had 2% left on my phone, and I didn't have my charger with me. It was unusual, but it is what it is. So I said, 'Hey, would you mind charging this phone for me? Do you have an iPhone charger?' She goes, 'Sure.' But she seemed like she was a bit annoyed, right? So I gave her $10 to charge the phone. I left an hour later. I get in my truck and the charger's at 2% again. She didn't even charge my phone. I want to go back in and go, I gave you that $10 for charging my phone. Well, it didn't really charge. So
You're going to ask for it back? You're trying
about
to claw it back?
my $10 back. All right. What'd you do, Zach?
Oh man. I mean, nothing. I shouldn't have even brought up this holiday. I got my wife a book, and I don't even think she knows how to read books anymore. It's all audio books and podcasts, probably listening to people like you guys out there all day long. But
What was it? Product Management for Dummies, that book?
Yeah. Tell her a little bit about her husband.
Yeah.
how to talk to me, how to understand me. Nah, I got her book and we just hung out at home, ordered some Chinese and in bed by 8.
Pretty.
Well, when you guys need ideas, just give me a call, okay?
I
Because,
think so.
like I said, man, I'm cocky. I'm on a roll. I got this. I got it. I got it figured out. I mean,
I
40
made a
years. Been
ring.
married. I finally got it after 40 years.
In high school, I made a ring for a girlfriend that had the same thing. Her gemstone, mine, but I had the month that we started hanging out in the middle. So I had 3. Yeah. So
nice.
Oh,
How'd she
next
like
year.
that? How'd she
I
like
don't
it?
know. That was 30 years ago. That was a long time ago. But
was in
I think
it
it
was in
went
high
over
school.
well. Yeah, it was high school, Rob. It wasn't just a few years ago.
That's
But you got
That's
Well-
how few girls I've dated. I remember my high school. I could tell you her phone number.
oh boy.
Well, I'll have you know that the Valentine's Day is the 5th most expensive holiday in America. And a lot of people say we just want to have a low key Valentine's Day, but despite that, it's one of the 5th most expensive. The average is people spend $162 on the average per person. And I'm well under that bar. And Mother's Day is the next one. They spend $196 on Mother's Day. Back to school shopping, $697, and the last one is back to college shopping is $977, and over the winter holidays they spend $1,048. So there you go. There's my little
Amazing
tidbit.
how you can rattle these numbers right off the top of your head. Man.
It's just
You're
crazy.
unbelievable.
It's crazy,
Wealth
isn't
of
it?
knowledge.
All right. Well, let's talk about what you guys got going on. Enough about me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So I didn't hear it. Did you get her? What did you get her for Valentine's Day?
Nothing.
No, just the
Listen.
dinner in the crappy restaurant.
Okay, I know what it sounds like.
Did she ever show up?
Yeah, she showed up. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I'm on the road. I was on the road. I mean, so this Saturday, I'm home. We'll go out Saturday. We'll go for a drive. We'll do something nice. So, you just pick. Listen, I don't let Hallmark dictate my life. Okay. I do things on my schedule. And I'm very
Yeah.
romantic, by the way.
She's a
truly
lucky
am.
gal. I'll tell you what. She's
Yeah.
a lucky gal. I'll tell you.
Let me yell at her for buying a generator. All right, what do you got going on?
Who we talking to?
I don't know.
Well, for heaven's sake, one of you guys gotta jump up and talk.
Bona Net Abrasives, baby.
Okay.
Let's go.
Whoop whoop. Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
We're ready.
Yeah.
You guys ready
We
for
don't
this?
stop rolling. The minutes count with this. So
Do you guys know what these are? Do you know what the Bona Net Abrasives are?
I just
Yeah.
worked with them. I
Yeah,
I
so
used
did I.
them last week at a school.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow your mind.
Amazing product. All right, everybody. This is why he's here. Let's do it, Zach. Bona Net. Tell us all about it.
All right. So the Bona Nets are a new line of abrasives we launched about a month ago, working with our partner Sia over in Switzerland. And it's in the name net, which you guys can see here. I mean, these are the discs that we've launched. They are a net kind of structured abrasive. And the idea, the basic idea with these abrasives, really they come from the industries of like woodworking or automotive industries where a lot of like power tools are used, tools that don't necessarily have very good dust containment. They don't have dust skirts on them or anything like that. And so the structure of these net abrasives allows for airflow just to continuously move through that abrasive, which picks up dust irrelevant of the hole pattern that's on those power tools and stuff or anything like that. So that's kind of where they started. But then as they kind of grew in popularity, we started looking at them for like our industry, but not just for power tools and hand sanding and things like that, but how could we incorporate these onto some of the bigger machines like our power drive or the, with the multi-disc on the flexi sand, because abrasives have to be built a little bit differently when you're putting them under such heat and pressure and stress like that. They gotta be able to hold up to that and do refracture and things like that. So working with Sia, we kind of took that technology and improved on some of the the backing, making it a little more durable,
and whatnot, and working with a couple of different mineral makeups with these abrasives. So we have two lineups. We have in a ceramic version, which we know ceramic is being a very tough, durable, and sharp abrasive grain out there. And then we have aluminum oxide, which generally is an extremely sharp, great abrasive for really final sanding on a floor. So we have both of those grains in a various assortment of grits and between 5 and 6 inch. So number one, dust pickup exceptional with these. Doesn't matter on the whole, on different power tools. But the other thing, and I think this is probably the biggest part of the net abrasives, is how good they are at being productive at removing coarse scratches from your previous grit. So we know at Bona we have a lot of really good coarse abrasives, whether it's the green assortment or our blue assortment. And their contractors love them. They're great at flattening a floor, removing stain, finish, all that stuff. But then there's the, transitioning to your finer grits. And where the nets really excel is being productive at removing those grits, but also leaving the floor with like a nice fine scratch pattern to it. So it's kind of taken out that middle grit, and it's allowing you to move over to the fine grits without having to step down from different types of abrasives as much.
Yeah, they're like super aggressive, but you almost don't like to use that word, do you?
I use productive, and like I said, aggressive to me is productive, but also leaving the floor looking a little bit beat up, chewed up. Really big scratches, pronounced scratches. That's why I use productive, because they are productive. They remove a good amount of stock removal, just wood from the floor, but they don't have like that nasty scratch. I mean, they leave it almost ready for stain sealer. And that's why I say they're like magic. And a big part of introducing these is, with our abrasive assortment today, we have our green, our blue, our black, our diamond. Now we have nets. So we have a lot of options out there. And up until this point, kind of our sanding system included a lot of these different types: green, then switch to blue, and then switch to black, which still works and is a great system. But the system's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to keep 4 or 5 different abrasives in their assortment. And so this was a way where we could simplify our sanding sequence today and really capitalize on where, our popular like green product that's great at what it does. But now we can just offer the nets, and the green and net alone can be your answer to finishing a floor, instead of having to incorporate in a bunch of different layers of different abrasives and stuff.
I've been blown away by how many contractors in the Northeast are going with green all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I think when green first came out, it was more of a coarse to medium and wasn't a fine cut. But I am shocked how many people they're going green all the way. And that silica, what was it?
Silicon carbide?
No, not that one. The ceramic.
Don't help them, Zach.
The ceramic. Oh no, I'll get it there. Might
I
not
know.
be right away.
I know.
Okay?
Hey, listen,
I'll
no one.
get down that road sooner or
No,
later.
hey, listen, don't
But
yell at me.
I know you're dying for that. But to have the ceramic now, I love the last school I did when it was the first time I had worked with them. It was really great to say, hey, the aluminum oxide is going to pair up with our blue, and the green is going to pair up with the ceramic. So, because I think that was an answer that a lot of people were looking for, who are going with the green all the way. Well, now what am I going to finish with? And
yep.
The other thing I noticed about it was they're pretty durable.
They are.
In the past, products like this I saw would sometimes wrinkle. You know what I mean? When you're using it, they'll start to wrinkle, and then you're going to get a nasty scratch. Boy, these things they're not flimsy. You know what I mean? They're pretty sturdy. I mean, like when you held it up, yeah, it looks a little flexible, but it's a lot sturdier than you would think.
Yeah, and it's got a, it's polyester net backing. So there is no true backing to this like we have on any of our abrasives, which is a really good thing. Not just like we talked earlier about where this technology came from was like power tools and things like that, right? But when we start looking at power drive, multi-disc, and those types of systems, well, obviously you have a solid backing behind the nets, right? So there's nowhere for that air to flow through, and they don't work in that same way when you're running them on on those machines. But the beauty of it being this net structure and not having a backing is dust and clogging materials don't get embedded in there and stuck and then kill your abrasive, which is, when you're sanding filler, which is a huge one, or just, whatever it may be, that's usually the killer of your abrasive is things getting clogged in there. And then that takes away from the productivity of that abrasive. So even when you're running on the power drive or something like that, even if you did get a little bit of clogging, you could just peel this off. It all falls out, continue going. So you get a very consistent, you know, scratch throughout the life of this abrasive because you're not getting any clogging. And this also extends just the life in general. I mean, you could probably say 2 to 3 times like some of your standard abrasives, like you black abrasives or screens, some of that older technology, easily getting a pretty good distance further than that because it just doesn't clog. It's got a good mix of, the minerals on there, keep refracture staying sharp, giving you a consistent profile to the floor, which is what we want. You don't want anything dying off prematurely or anything like that. So it's a very good balance of features and benefits really with these nets.
Well, I'll tell you what I know about him, Zach. Is I was in Nashville this week with Jeremiah,
Mhm.
and he had a sanding class, and they had white oak, and he had on the power drive they had the 60 grit. Oh, actually, they had 60 grit green on the power drive. Okay, and as to your point, the green is very aggressive, and it will leave an aggressive scratch, but it's a beast of a sandpaper. And so they had 60 grit green with 2 weights and no pads. Okay, 100 grit net with the same 2 weights and no pads, and virtually left no scratches. That blew everybody's mind. So much so that that was day one. On day two and day three, the guys are still talking about it.
Mhm.
Um, if I'd say if the scratches were all gone, I mean, virtually scratch free. I mean, if you're going to go dark stain, maybe you could hit it with 120 or whatever you wanted to. But my gosh, man, to take out green scratches like that with that kind of paper is pretty impressive. And they sanded heart pine with 100 grit with 2 weights and no pads and left almost no scratches whatsoever.
Actually, the heart pine, I mean, this is years ago now, but we were down with Jeremiah at his old RTC, and we had tested these on just a small area of antique heart pine. Obviously, that's down in your guys in the southeast. At least I know that's a pretty popular wood and a pain in the butt to sand, right? Because of the clawing and stuff. We probably did, I don't know, like a couple feet long, just linear feet. And we did, I don't know, 12 a foot with black 120 and a foot with the net 120. Black clogged in that 1 foot. I mean, it was just immediately, and the net had nothing. It was like brand new. And we've actually, from some guys that have used it in the field, have had really good testimonials sanding whole jobs with like heart pine and saying this, I mean, saved the day. I mean, you didn't have just a stack of abrasives that really didn't even get used. They just clogged. So I mean, it's pretty impressive what it can do.
And that's a huge question out there too. We get that a lot at the schools. What are we using on heart pine? Wow, so this is definitely one of the
There you,
answers for
this
that.
is it. Sanding filler, we know filler clogs paper. This won't clog. And like I said, if you get any, just take it off. It'll fall out and keep going. I mean, it doesn't clog like that.
What kind of blew me away, Zach, is that I mean, to your point, I mean, you take a power drive and you put the two weights on it. That's a lot of weight on them abrasives, and it doesn't overwhelm them. I mean, they just kept going, and
Mhm.
so I thought, all right, even if it does take out the green scratches, maybe it just won't go very far. But they just kept going and going, and you take them off, and you still they have so much bite to them left. I mean,
Yep.
really, that's a huge advance, man, in the system for guys sanding. It's amazing.
There's been a lot of big changes in the last 10 years. A lot of big changes to a very traditional industry.
One of the questions that you kind of answered for me that I was going to ask was how much further are they going to go than a screen? So you said where they were going to go with screen and black paper. What about compared to the diamond?
So, well, let's separate out some of this. So when we talked about the assortment that we're launching, remember I said we have two product lines, ceramic, aluminum oxide. In the ceramic, we're keeping it within the 80 to 120 grit range, and that's really for sanding raw wood. That's for finishing up. You're transitioning from your green abrasives and you're finalizing your wood with the ceramic. The aluminum oxide, we have also an 80 to 120 to be teamed up with blue abrasives, like you had mentioned earlier, Rob. But we also have aluminum oxide from 150 up to 320. So depending on how we're talking about diamonds, because we sell diamonds predominantly for intercoat abrasion, like over very large surfaces, correct? And then we also have it for raw wood. Um, more more of it is used for intercoat abrasion, and when it comes to those kind of numbers, I would say it's probably in the 2,500 square feet per set, in comparison to diamonds, which could be 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. So it's I would say it's a pretty good kind of in the middle when it comes to diamonds, and then what we could do, let's say with intercoat abrasion with like maroon pads or screens. So pretty good amount. And obviously there's, we're kind of, we don't like to put out numbers with abrasives because there's so many variables that play a part there. I mean, honestly, if you're using, let's just say on raw wood, you're using 80 grit diamond on a power drive versus a multi-disc, you're going to get two pretty big different numbers because of those two different machines. So it depends on the application. On the raw wood, I mean, I would say more 2 to 3 times like a screen or a black. Diamond, I don't think it goes nearly as far on raw wood as it does on intercoat abrasion. But I think the focus would be more on intercoat in comparison with diamond. That it's about half, I would say, of what you can get for diamond.
Because I'm thinking of the sport world for this stuff.
Hmm.
For abrading gyms, screening coating gyms. This is this is
And
going to
let
be
me
huge.
explain some other things there, because what the diamonds are great for is one, distance, right? And that's why in sport world they're great, because they just go and go. I mean, easily one set you could probably almost do a whole gym. That's awesome. And where, but they also, the abrasion that the diamonds is so fine, and it's really just cleaning the surface. It's such a micro level. It's just abrading. It's your adhesion is going to be phenomenal. But when you have recoats, let's say a gym that is pretty beat up and stuff, and you've got a lot of gouges, scratches, things where you want a little bit more muscle to blend those together, that's the diamonds. Because the diamonds are going to have a little bit more bite on the floor when it comes to prepping a finish coat for a new coat of finish. So when you need to blend it and kind of massage it a little bit more, the diamonds are going to be better. Sorry, the nets. Diamonds are going to be more just for straight adhesion and the finest scratch.
Well, the other thing we found with the diamonds in the sport world, yeah, they worked amazing. We used to just throw 3 diamonds on a double stack maroon pad and you'd cut 3,000 feet. But
Mhm.
if they got the tiniest bit of a clog,
Done.
they were done. you know, and if there was anything left, any type of, light residue or anything, that was always a knock, is trying to clean those diamonds out. Where now with this net, like you said, just pop them off and, flick them a couple times and they're clean. This is going to be huge for
lot
sport
lot
guys.
easier to keep clean and keep moving. Yep.
I'd also say that for hickory and those hard species, I mean, this is a great solution. And it really is. I mean, when you say it's like a magic eraser, it really is. I mean, it is mind blowing that it will take out the green scratches. Because I remember we going from green to blue, and then the blue to black to get them. And really, it wasn't the blue to black you take a scratch. You were always trying to get them first scratches out from the green because they're aggressive. But now to be able to go from green, then boom, hit to here, holy smokes, man! That's a really truly a game changer. So
yeah, definitely changing just from, you look back 10 years ago with the introduction of like power drive and stuff, and how some of these new machines have really kind of changed the way floors are being sanded today, and not just the actual process, but the quality of the floors is that much better. The bar's really been raised, and I think this is just another complement to that, and a way to help shorten the time to prepare a floor. Still great quality. And another huge part of these nets is just the versatility. I mean, as any businessman, you probably don't want to carry 10 different sizes of abrasives and for every different application. But with these nets, you can use them on your power drive, you can use them on your multi-disc, you can use them on your Rotex, you can use them with hand sanding. I mean, there's a lot of different applications using the same abrasive, which I think will be really popular out there.
yeah.
So
awesome.
if we get one side of a maroon pad will buff out 350 feet per side. Now, if I took two of the 320 aluminum oxide nets and put them on a maroon pad, how far would I go?
For intercoat abrasion?
For intercoat abrasion on a clean floor that's dry, not gumming up and stuff.
I would say about 2,500 to 3.
Really? Wow.
Now,
That's
again,
unbelievable.
just lots of variables when it comes to these things, but based on our testing when we were, field testing and developing this stuff, that's kind of where we ended up. But obviously you're abrading all kinds of different products out there with maintenance products on them. There's a lot of variables, but that's what we saw. So give or take, more or less there.
Nice.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
How's our pricing on this with compared to a maroon pad, a screen, diamonds?
You also got to take before you give them the price. You got to take in the longevity of them too. You know what I mean?
That's where I want to go with that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I would say when it comes, if we're talking intercoat abrasion, and I don't want to get into specific pricing because it can vary a little bit.
No, I'm
there,
talking more percentage. I mean, like if you have two of these nets that will go 2,500 feet, that would be 8 maroon or 4. It would be 4 maroon pads versus 2 of these nets. That sounds like a huge savings. I can't imagine that the 2 net is going to be the same price as 4.
The maroon pads are actually pretty expensive. So
that's what I mean.
The nets
lot of guys who are doing
the nets are already a savings just using the nets compared to a set of nets compared to the maroon pad. So no matter what, to a maroon pad, nets are the way to go.
And having it in 320 is going to be huge.
Yeah. And it's consistent powdering. I mean, with the maroon pad, you instantly dole out. You only get that real good powdering kind of right when you put it on the floor, and then it's kind of dull, and you're looking like, is it still abrading? Is it not?
Yeah.
This is like
you're happy if it's deglossing the floor after 350 feet.
Yeah. There's a little bit of crossed fingers in your back pocket too, but with these you'll get consistent powdering, and like I said, because there isn't things really hurting this, clogging up and stuff like that, it's consistently working. So you're not getting that quick doling. you're getting consistent doling across the floor until that dies. So visually, it's easy. I don't have to worry and stress. Like, is it doing its job? I can see it's doing its job.
Comes in 5 and 6 inch and from 80 grit to 320. Is that correct?
For the aluminum oxide. So again, ceramic is 80 through 120, just in 5 and 6 inch, both of those. And then aluminum oxide is 80 grit all the way up to 320 in both 5 and 6 inch as well.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, I said at the beginning of this thing, you've been at Bona 20 years. I hope you're staying another 20 years because I tell you what, anytime I know you're working on something, Zach, you're so thorough and so much time goes into it and so much testing goes into it, man. You do a fantastic job for Bona, and we're fortunate to have you, man. So this is very exciting for us. This is a big deal. So, and I know you put your heart and soul into these products and the time and development of all these products, man. It goes miles and it shows. And for a sales team that goes out there and sells it, man. And you have a pretty tough crowd here too with us to get past us. Believe me. I mean. I don't mean just me and Rob. I mean the whole sales team. I mean, they're a tough bunch of guys, and but the confidence.
He always feels every time. I feel bad for you when you have to do your presentations in front of everybody. It's like watching a guy step up to the firing squad. All right, you want a blindfold? I'll give you a blindfold in Charlotte.
But that's what you want, though. You want to challenge each other. I mean, that's how you get better. That's how you get good. That's how you don't leave any holes.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten to Bona, is because, when I was 2004, I was young. I was in my 20s. I was scared out of my mind. And I'm now in front of a crowd of contractors trying to teach them the Bona way. That's very intimidating. And so my only defense to that was to learn the products and understand them and be able to, speak to them properly. And that's, I think, how I've, gotten to be in product management today and stuff. But I'm passionate about these things, and guys like yourselves that are very passionate. You got ex-contractors, you love the trade, and look where you're at now, able to talk about it weekly with various people. But this industry, and why it's so intimidating out there, is because it, like I said earlier, this is a traditional industry. Things have been the same for a long time as long as this industry has really been there. It seems like it's been pretty similar. And when I started at Bona, we were talking about double side disc, hard plating, screens, and now look at what we're talking about. I mean, it is starting to really change rapidly. But sometimes that's what's hard with some of these new products and innovations, is we know our crowd is traditional. And so it's tough to incorporate some of these new things that you're risking your job maybe to try a new product. And that can be, scary, as a contractor to test things and try things that are new. But I think here at Bona, whether it's internal with new products and having a good team out there to help talk about it, teach it, support it, and all that, I mean, we're the right ones to do it. And so we'll keep doing what we can and coming up with new ways to make it a little easier for us.
Well, in some ways, we're lucky on the sales side because we get the fun job of being out with the contractors and stuff. But you're doing all the hard work up front. And with the products and the development and the time that goes into these things, man, is crazy to me sometimes. The amount of testing and some years, sometimes 3 years before it'll hit the market. And that's frustrating for us because we see it, we want it, but you won't ever let it go till you guys are happy with it. And you do a fantastic job for you and all the tech and training team, the product management team that nobody gets to see out there. And it's crazy when you have a guy like you, because I remember that class I was much older
Vegas,
than Vegas. Yeah, I remember it very well. And, I'm an older guy to you at that time in the back of the class. And I was so impressed with your presentation. I wasn't working for Bona at the time. I was a contractor, but you were so dialed in and you knew the product so well, man. and it just always resonated with me, man. I respected that. So
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So all right, well, that's good stuff, man.
Right on.
Anything else we need to discuss
Yeah.
with this?
What was the name of the book you got your wife?
I don't know. I just know it had her favorite author on it, Kristen Hanna or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you did your job.
I should know that, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like I said, give me a call next holiday. Give me a call on the next holiday. I'll
right,
work with you both.
There you
Okay.
go. Yeah,
I might start my own podcast just on that.
There you go. On what, love?
Yes. Yes, that's it. The
Oh,
Rob Johnson Love Podcast.
There you go.
That sounds like a winner.
a spinoff.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
All
we
right.
jumped the shark. We jumped the shark a couple of years ago on this podcast. So
Yeah, a little bit.
all kidding aside, though, that was really some great information, Zach. Thanks a lot. This is,
Yeah.
I think, just using it last week, I was like, this is going to be huge. This is going to be big for us.
good.
Yeah. No question.
I'm looking forward to working with it.
Yeah. So
Good to hear. Thanks for having me on.
you're very welcome.
All right.
This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob and Zach. Please stay tuned for another episode.